Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chris Johnson. You are now tuned in to KJ Live. Today's guest on the show, three-time NBA champion executive, two-time NBA Executive of the Year, the president of basketball operations and general manager of the Golden State Warriors. None other than Bob Myers is in the building. Bob, what's going on, man?
It's a pleasure and an honor, my friend. I never thought I'd be doing a podcast with you.
No, I mean, it's a long day. It's a long way from our days back at UCLA, lockers next to each other. And
That's right.
you always complaining about stuff I was doing in life, but we'll touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah, let's get to that later.
We'll touch on that in a little bit, Bob. So I wanted to start the show off like I do with all of our guests, okay? We want to give our audience and our listeners an idea of who the person is, the foundation that made the man or the woman, for that matter, because I've had female guests on the show, into the person they are today. I just want to know where you're born, city, the neighborhood, and how did that community impact you in sort of who you are today?
So yeah, born and raised East Bay. We were joking before I came on. I was a Warriors fan growing up, so that's a little known fact, or maybe well known. I grew up in a nutshell, Chris, white, middle class. You know, basic two parents still together, 50 years married, and backyard with a basketball hoop and a pool. And you know, why is that relevant? It's not really. The longer I've lived, the more I appreciate the saneness of my upbringing, the normalcy. The more people I meet, even when you want to talk about the locker, we're skipping a step, but sit next to you and judging how you would act after practice and who you were, I've realized like that's not fair, because I presumed you were raised like I was, which was dumb, right? That was naive. But knowing you now and stuff we've never even talked about, I have a better understanding of people and you, and kind of like, for me to think people get to have what I had is really pretty dumb on my part. So I had, for the people listening, I didn't have, nothing was given to me professionally, and I wasn't born into a bunch of wealth, but sure. As far as a chance to succeed in life, I had that, and having gone into places like San Quentin and played with those guys in basketball and hearing a little bit about their upbringing makes you really appreciate what I have. And it also wakes you up to life in that what I had is not, my idea of normal. Many people don't have that.
But Bob, you only know what you know. So
right.
You can't blame people like yourself that grew up a certain way, right, because that's where you live. Just like you can't blame folks that grew up, on the other side of town.
Right.
That's just how
but they get blamed, Chris. That's the difference, though.
Yeah,
they get blamed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we can go down that at a different time. But
sure.
That's where I agree with you. But you may have a better understanding of that than I even do. You may not blame them. But speaking from like the stuff I'm around, like people do, understand? Like when we give a prisoner a chance, former inmate, to call our game, I don't know if you saw, we let a guy that came out of San Quentin, which was great. A lot of people wouldn't say it publicly, but we're going, why would you do that? Why would you help why would you help a convict get a start back in life? There's many people that would say that and judge, like, why would you help somebody? And somebody asked me, I said, why can't anybody get a second chance or a third? Yeah. So anyways, we're going off the script, but my upbringing matters for that reason. That's all.
Yeah. And at what point growing up in Danville did you fall in love with the game of basketball? Because I know you did a bunch of stuff. You're an athlete, Bob.
Yeah.
When did you start loving the game?
Yeah. I mean, not like you. I love basketball. Basketball, even to this day, I don't know how you feel. I know you love basketball too. If I'm driving anywhere or walking or on a bike and I see the game being played by a 10-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 50-year-old, inside, outside, I have to look.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like an alcoholic like that. Like if an alcoholic sees a drink, they're just drawn to it, So for me, I would pull over if I had a life where I could just stop and jump in every pickup game that existed in the world, I would pull over and I would do it for free and I would do it as long as I could. So basketball is the one pure known of my life. Like the only thing I've ever known cold was that I love basketball. And I think that won't change. And that hasn't changed for me. It's a little harder, Chris, in the position I'm in to just love it purely.
Yeah.
I know too much.
Yeah.
It's like if you and I went to watch a movie and you directed it and produced it and starred in it, you can't watch it the same way I can. I walk out and I go, Chris, you were unbelievable. And you go, yeah, but they didn't pay me as much as I was supposed to get paid. And they cut out that one scene.
This part, that part.
Right. Yeah. Like I wouldn't have done a different ending. It would have been better.
Yeah.
So I can't watch the game, at least the pro game. That's why when we can talk about UCLA, my best moments of just happiness was watching UCLA this year.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a say in who they recruited and what plays Cronin was calling. I didn't want to know. I just want to watch it. So basketball my whole life, long back as I can remember, I've loved the game.
The Bruins were unbelievable this year, and we're going to talk about them a little bit later. I read a story somewhere where you were actually trying to follow someone's footsteps in rowing somewhere, and then Lav got with you and said, hey, maybe you can help us here. Talk about how you got introduced to UCLA basketball.
Yeah. So my AAU was just starting, right? I mean, you might have played in it, but down in the Bay Area up here,
it was new.
It was pretty new, right? And so was the internet. It was non-existent, really. So I wasn't very good until my senior year. I was okay my senior year of high school, and I played in a local all-star game. And the coach of a Dabla Valley College, junior college, said, "Hey, I wasn't getting recruited anywhere." He said, "Hey, you want to play for us? If you play for us and play well, maybe I could get you into Oregon State or some Pac-12." And I said, look, I got good grades. I don't want to go to junior college. I just want to go to college. If I could play basketball, great. So I went and visited a bunch of schools and even some Ivy Leagues and looked at them and other schools and said, maybe I can play basketball here. But nobody looked at my tapes or nobody cared, which was fine. So I decided I was going to pick the school I want to go to and forget about basketball. Mm-hmm. So I was touring around UCLA's athletic department with my dad, and my brother was a rower at University of Washington up there in Seattle. Okay. So I thought, I'd like to do something in college. Maybe I'll try that. I'd never done it. And I stumbled upon Lavin. Lav, Steve Lavin.
Where'd you see Lav at? Where on campus?
The cubicle, which they don't even have. They've totally redone, the athletic department. But he had a picture of John Wooden because Lav was an assistant at Purdue. You remember, a graduate assistant. Of course. And he was assistant for Gene Keady. John Wooden attended Purdue. Or played at Purdue, I think. And my dad went to Purdue. So we were walking and we saw Lav and Lav, Lav, he starts up a conversation with whoever's walking by. What are you guys doing here? And I said, I was walking around, and my dad said, Purdue. I went there. And he said, John Wooden. And then Lav said, are you going to school here? And I said, yeah. And I said, yeah, I'm looking for the recruit coach, rowing. He said, I don't even know if we have that program here. And I said, well, he said, it might be a club sport. And a club sport, people listening, it's not really affiliated with the school. They just have a tangential relationship, but it's not really school sponsored.
Intramural or a little step above?
It's not intramural. It's a little step above. It's in between that, right? Okay. In between. So he said, what about basketball? Because I'm 6'6". And I said, I don't think I can play here. And he said, what do you mean? Because if you look at a guy and he's 6'6" and I look more athletic than I'm not athletic. I'm not unathletic, but I'm not athletic. Just being honest. And don't correct me there because I know what I am and what I'm not.
You can dunk, but you can dunk in practice.
Okay, but that's nothing special for somebody that's 6. Anyways, let's just move off my athleticism. So I said, I said what if I was a manager? Like, could I manage on the team? And he said, well, yeah, but why don't you try to walk on? And I said, well, I don't think I can play. I don't, I'm not, this is the best basketball school I got into.
Right.
Like this is the lead. If I wanted to play basketball and walk on, I would have picked any other school.
Yeah.
I basically gave up. I said, I'm gonna go to UCLA. They're the best basketball school by far. I just want to go to school in LA.
So you had no intention, Bob. You had inkling. Not one inkling.
No, Chris, none.
Okay.
So then he says, walk on. And then I said, okay. And he said, you can condition with the team. And you were a year younger, so you weren't there. So what we did was for a month, and my personality, and we could do a long podcast. For a month, I conditioned with Ed and all these Charles and Cameron and all these guys, but I didn't talk to anybody. And I wasn't in a recruiting class with anybody. You know, Charles and Cameron, you know, they're deuce and the whole deal. I was like, you know, I don't know what I was. I don't think they cared about me one way or the other. I was just there and I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't bothering anybody.
Yeah.
So, but my buddies that I went to college with, anybody I ran into was asking me like, where are you going? I'd say, I'm going to condition with the basketball team. And they'd say, what? You're not gonna play basketball at UCLA. And I kind of said, well, I probably not, but I figure I'll try. And they said, they kind of laugh at me. Like a friend would be like, Chris, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But not mean spirited, just kind of like, you're wasting your time, man. Like, this is UCLA. And I didn't push back. I was like, maybe, but let's, you know, maybe I could walk on.
Yeah.
Long story. I try out and Herrick shows up, our coach. And it's in men's gym. No, sorry, the Wooden Center. And there's like 30, 40 guys and there's one spot. And we watch for a little while. And I'm just the tallest guy there, right? I'm sick. There's nobody 6'6", decent, because those guys play basketball somewhere. Like, they go to school to play basketball.
Yeah.
Herrick watched for 10 minutes and he gets up from his chair, you know him, calls me over, congratulations, son. And then I didn't know what he was talking. I couldn't process what he just told me, which was I basically made the team as a walk-on. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't believe it. I thought this is some kind of joke. But yeah, it was real. And then I found out they were going to let me travel. And I think what makes it interesting to me in hindsight, Chris, is when something's unexpected or you achieve something that you didn't think possible, there's a level of appreciation. Like, I look at somebody like you got recruited, I don't know how many different schools. You just knew you were going to play basketball in college. You knew you were probably concerned about what number you're going to have and what shoe, you know. I had it from a basic level. Like, I get to play basketball with these great players. Yeah. And my first practice, I was scared. Yeah. And it wasn't football, right? It's basketball. I wasn't going to get beat up, but I was scared. Yeah. And I remember it. And the players were so much more athletic and faster and stronger and better. But, you know, over time, I became, you know, decent, right? Like, okay, enough to kind of help the team a little bit. And, you know, we play one-on-one in the post.
Why do you think that was, Bob? Like, what about your mentality? Because a lot of guys could have been thrown in that position and just wilted. Because you know how we were. I know, you know, I'd go at you. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of disrespectful stuff going out there on the court. So some guys, you know, aren't going to be able to take that. You know, how did you prepare yourself mentally to deal with the high level athletes like that on the court, competing against them?
Yeah. Well, I think I just had to. This sounds cliche, but I just had to do the best I could. Like, in life, I think we're most pleased when we give our best effort, right? If you're being honest with yourself, you fail a test, you don't get a job, as long as you know you kind of left it out there, a game. That's why players, I think, always have it the best, even the position I'm in now, because they get to compete. Yeah. You know, they get to lose and they get to be spent on the court and they put it out there. So when I put it out there in practice, but the things I love too was, like, even you, I got to play basketball and I always remember how good you were and how the touch you had around the rim and your hands and your ability to move. And just to be around somebody that was that good at something I loved was something for me, you know, was something for me to be like, I'm getting to play with these guys. And when you surround yourself with people that are that much better than you, inevitably you'll get better. Yeah. So that was the fun thing. It was never about starting or playing. It was like, I'm getting better at something I love. That was the joy.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that part of it, to where you started off conditioning. I thought it was already a done deal on the walk, and I didn't know you had to earn it. And so now it helps me understand, looking back on it, just your whole disposition towards everything. Yeah, man. It was a trip, because Bob, you remember you used to leave when you were taking that one economics class or something. Yeah. Remember you used to like leave halfway through practice to make it to that class.
I think I was the only guy on the team that knew I wasn't going to the NBA. Like that. I remember I would bring my books to because you'd be working out pre-practice and then I'd be like reading my big, whatever the hell book it was, economics. And you'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd say, Chris, I'm not going to make a career in basketball. Like, I know it, it's over.
True story.
And so, but anyways, it was, man, it was great though. Fun times, man. Good times.
We won the championship in 95 together, but 94, I wanted to just touch on a moment that happened after you were on the team that lost to Tulsa in the locker room. I know Ed was pretty disappointed. Talk about just how 94 sort of catapulted the momentum of UCLA basketball. The end of 94 catapulted us into 95 and the run that we eventually went on.
Yeah, I mean, Ed O'Bannon is one of my favorite people. You know him, Chris, and I think you probably feel the same way
Yeah.
in the world
Yeah.
because of his humility, right? And his great talent. Like what a Ed, soft-spoken, nice heart, like great human being, giving all the things that are pretty hard to find these days or in any day. But that championship run in '95 started at halftime in 1994 of the loss to Tulsa. Like that's when it started. And I know you weren't there, but you would have loved it because we go through life, and I'm old enough. Like top 5 most vivid memories was him at halftime, and literally the people in life, like you've lived now, and we've seen things and done things. It's the soft spoken ones you got to be a little careful around. It's the ones that don't raise their voice very often. And Ed was that, and he did. And oh my God. So what happens is at halftime, the coaches, they huddle, as you know, and then they talk about what they're going to tell the team, and then they come in. So the team's in there alone for a minute at halftime of even the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the moment where you'd yell at me and say I'm a fucking idiot. Like, why'd you get that rebound? That's when all that shit's happening.
Yeah.
So Ed came in and picked up a chair and just fired it across the room and was like, I can't effing go back to LA. I'm embarrassed. We were down 20 at half, right? Yeah. And we were at 4 and they were at 13, I think.
Yeah, I remember.
No, that's right. Bad. And so it was bad. And so, but here's the point of it was, and then the coaches started walking in and they just stopped and walked out because they knew this moment needed to happen. Mm-hmm. Like without them in there, like they needed to let this moment happen. Mm-hmm. And it was 10 minutes of Ed just embarrassed, like at the highest level of pure like frustration, rage, passion. And it wasn't against it was him too. Like he was owning the failure in the moment. Like not just you did this, you didn't do that. And it was the truth, right? That team had a softness to it that got exposed. Yeah. Bottom line. Like, and a lot of people don't want to hear the truth, but we did. And so for me, you came the following year. Yeah. And when he made sure he was first in every sprint, and he made sure he didn't miss a practice, and he made sure his team won every drill, that championship run, and you were there when we were down against Missouri in Boise, right? We were down 1 point and 4.8 seconds. Everybody knows what Tyus did, second round of the tournament. So one time in my life where I actually thought, professionally at least, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Like this team can't lose right now. Yeah. This can't happen. Like this cannot happen. Like this makes no sense. Like everything I've learned in my entire life about doing things the right way, acting the right way, putting the work in, failing, then succeeding. In that moment when we were down, I could not fathom we're going to lose. This is going to be the end of our season. And I know a lot of people say that. Like there's other people that played college, but something didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Yeah. But this one for real, and you were there. And then obviously Tyus makes a shot and we win it. But it was all part of, like I said, the 1 yard line going the other way on the field was halftime at Tulsa in '94.
Yeah, and then in '95, the culture was already set. UCLA basketball, when I arrived, it was a hierarchy, and you just knew what time it was around there. What was your favorite memory of just not necessarily during the season, but of our championship celebration? What's your favorite memory?
I remember, and look, LA, you're an LA, born and raised guy. LA loves a winner, man. Yeah. They don't love much else, but they love a winner. And so they treat you like royalty if you win. I mean, it's not many better places to win in LA, maybe New York too. Right. But I remember not going to class. And my class, not to knock on anybody else, but my classes were real. I had to show up. I couldn't just not show up for class.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I remember walking into class. This class had started 3 weeks ago, and I hadn't been there. And I walked in, and I remember just being like embarrassed, probably hungover or whatever. And the teacher said in front of the whole class, he's like, I was wondering if you were going to show up. Wondering when you were going to show up. Like. But he started laughing. He said it in a nice way, Yeah. But that was my moment of like, this is
Big time.
In life, you don't often get to kind of float around. Like, you don't get to do whatever you want to do and break all the rules and kind of be that. It was one time in my life where it was kind of like, I get to not be responsible for a little while. Like, I'm not good at that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not good. I get to kind of do whatever the hell I want for 2 weeks. And obviously we did. We all did.
Yeah, it was fun.
So that was there wasn't one, we went on the TV show, did the Disney parade. But for me, it was all of it combined, right? I mean, we all of the whole thing, and doing it with the team and doing it. That's what people don't get. When you talk about what it means to win a championship, it's the bond that we have. That's it. Because nobody can touch that, right? Nobody can take that. I see you, I see Toby, I see Coach Herrick, I see anybody, the people that were there, Ed, Charles, Cam, Tyus. That's ours. That's not the listeners. That's ours. Yep. And in life, you don't get too many of those type of things where nobody can mess with it. Because people are always messing with how you should feel and how you should act and what you should do. That's us. And so that was probably my favorite part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are memories I'll hold on to the rest of my life, man. Just the moments with us, the drive to the movie premiere, the ride back from the Jay Leno show, those experiences on the bus, man, are the ones you always will remember. Right. I want to talk about how your experience with Arn, your experience at Wasserman for 14 years as one of the top agents in the game. How did that prepare you to be elevated to the GM of the Warriors after only a year? Because you went in April 2011, April 2012. You got promoted. Did that stuff with Arn and Wasserman and that experience prepare you any, or is it not even related?
No, 100% it prepared me. I mean, I think so much of it prepared me. There's a life of the NBA is not real. Like, it's not, people listen, it is a different world. It's almost like being on a movie set all the time. It's not relatable. So when you're talking about the business of it, there's so much money, and a star, you've been around stars, right? In your life, whether it's an actor, they're different, man. And it's nothing against that. But like the way we treat celebrities, athletes, it's not their fault. They're different. So why do I bring that up? There's a relatability. There's a way to communicate. There's an empathy. There's an understanding. There's wealth. There's all these things that growing up in the agent side of things immersed me in kind of like, what is this world? How does this world move? If that makes sense. I mean, obviously it moves a lot with money. Arn was great because he was relentless and he was smart. And so I got to learn these traits of Arn taught me you don't wait for a return phone call, right? I was never understood that. Like, if I called you and
you follow
right,
up.
Yeah, right. Did Chris call you back? No, I called him yet. Arn be like, why didn't you call him today? I said, well, he didn't call. What are you talking about? Did you reach? I told you to get a hold of him. I didn't tell you to leave a message. I told you to talk to him. And so I learned that no boss demanding or successful wants a reason why you didn't do something. They want you to do what they told you to do. Mm-hmm. And being young and having to call Jerry West and ask him if he would consider taking Jelani McCoy in the second round, and he didn't call me back, and I got to call Jerry West back, even though he didn't call him. Does he really want to talk to me? Like, what? Aren't I bothering him? Yeah. So I had to learn the part of you're not that important. Nothing's beneath you. And that there is no boundaries to this profession, even that I'm in now. There's no structure. It's just all in all the time. And so you learn how it operates. And that taught me that. And also taught me, in some ways, I guess if I had to translate it to what I do now, what kind of player might be the winning kind of player? Like, you won, right? You won in your career. You won. Like, if it's a pickup game right now, your team's probably going to win. Like, you win. Doesn't matter how you do it, but you do it. And you see people that have that mindset. And by the way, they're not always the most normal people, right? Like Kobe, God rest his soul. But that guy at dinner, like you might be like, dude, I got to get up and go. Like, he wants to, every conversation's a competition. And I'd say, yeah, Chris, that's kind of who he is. When I was taking the LSAT one year to get into law school, I remember he was he was with Adidas at the time. And I was sitting on the side practicing, like we talked about, I was working on my LSAT because he said, you want to be in this this commercial. And I think Nigel was doing it. You remember, who's Nigel. Casting it?
Yeah, Nigel.
Nigel. And so I was sitting, and you've probably done this too. There's not really any, they're just I'm waiting for my 2 seconds to play in this game, and they cut and film or whatever. So I have a bunch of free time, and Kobe was going, because he was always angling, like what's going on, like Jordan, Michael Jordan, same way, like you watch Last Dance, he's always surveying the room, like where's the competition. That's why he had to play cards all the time and golf, like his whole life, gambling, competition. Kobe's the same way. So he'd be like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm practicing for the LSAT. Let me see that. I said, Kobe, you can't just do this. You can't just pick it up and do it. There's methods to how you learn these things. Like it was a math problem. Okay. It's called a logic game for people that are listening and went to law school. And he said, let me try it. And I said, all right, fine. I said, there's a practice test. Do it. And it was about 5 questions. You get 25 minutes or something. And so I watched him do it. He wasn't doing it the way you're supposed. He wasn't doing it anyway, right? He was just doing it in his own head. So we check his answers. And he finishes like in 15 minutes. I go, Kobe, you didn't even use all the time. He said, all right, whatever. So we check his answers and he got 1 right out of 5. And I go, see what I'm talking about? He goes, yeah, see, I got 1 right. What if I had more time to study like you? I would have gotten them all right. So it's like, you're like, what are you? But that's how this guy thought and thinks. And you're kind of like, that's why he was great.
Yeah.
That's why he was great. Yeah. And that's why you understand greatness. If you're around greatness, you see it. You don't have to even identify, because that's not how I am. But I think some part of that knowledge of working around players and learning it, negotiating it, probably helped. So when Draymond Green goes off on our coach or something like that, you can go down and say, Draymond, what are you doing? And not because Chris, most people act like idiots when they're around professional. They don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Not you, but if Steph Curry was sitting here, you'd be like, hey, Steph, what's it like to shoot so many threes? And he'd be like, what are you talking about, man? Like, who are you? What?
Yeah,
but they don't know. Yeah, they don't know what to say, right? What are you going to say if Steph Curry, so it's not even their fault, but you learn, you have to break down those barriers to have, to lead. In my position, you have to lead, to talk to Steve Kerr. Like you learn, you're around it so much, like your dad, like the people you met growing up, the NBA is not an intimidating thing for you. Like it's just your life. Like people say, why does Steph Curry and Klay Thompson? I go, because their dad played in the NBA. It's nothing to them. Yeah. Like to you, if you played in the NBA, sure, you would have loved it. But it wasn't like this mythical place. You're like, yeah, my dad played in the NBA. Like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But those guys are the same as you, me, and everybody else. They're just really good at basketball. So anyways, probably help.
Wow. No, that's an amazing answer, Bob. I like when you do this. I've watched a couple of your interviews that you've done, and you've really grown into a guy that's really thoughtful and mindful. And I just really respect you, my man. I really respect you. Let me ask you, though, what it was like. You guys signed KD. So you have 3 basically Hall of Famers, or 4. Or is it 4? I don't know. Whatever they used to say.
Depends on what you want to argue about.
Whatever they used to say.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to manage those different egos and statuses on that type of team?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. It depends on, see, there's guys on our team that all those guys that were on the team had individually done it all, right? Like MVP, Durant, Steph, championships for some of our guys, money, all of them had money, respect, all-star games, all NBA, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like, what do you do when you put it all together, and what's the goal? And I think the goal for those guys, because they've done it all, is just to win, right? Let's go win a championship. Let's win as many as we can.
Yeah.
The hard part with all of it is and I don't knock I don't say this to degrade the media, but media is powerful and people are insecure. We're all insecure. So when you start pressing buttons like, well, the reason UCLA won was just Ed O'Bannon. Like that, and if you're on that team, and you're Tyus or you're Charles or Ed, that you're kind of like, I kind of did some stuff too. But then you go, the media doesn't know what they're talking about because I know I helped. But then your buddy goes, hey man, why are they giving Ed all the credit? And you go, I don't know, Ed's a good dude. And you're like, but don't you think you should be getting more? And you go, well, yeah, but we're winning. And then your wife or your parent, like, hey man, they wrote an article that said your numbers are down. It's all that. Chris.
It's all that. BS.
It's all that.
Yeah.
Like I talk about Iguodala, and Steve came in, Kerr, and brought Iguodala, decided to bring him off the bench.
Yeah.
And I said, for people to understand that, so you're a starter, you won an Olympic gold medal, you've been an all-star, and a new coach who's never coached says you got to come off the bench. it ain't accepting that decision. It's accepting that decision in a very public way. So you're Iguodala, and I've talked to Andre about this. Hey, you go home that night, ESPN, Iguodala set to come off the bench. And you look at it and you're like, whatever, no big deal. I don't care what they say. Then your wife, they're bringing you off the bench, Chris? And you go, yeah, I mean, coach, you know, really? Aren't you one of the best players? Aren't you like a top 5? Yeah, I am, but you know, all right, good night. And then you're going to bed, you're going, shit, should I be okay with it? And then I'm interviewing you after the game. I'm the local beat writer. Hey, Chris, they're bringing you off the bench. Like, and microphone's on. Are you okay with this role? I mean, new coach. And you go, yeah. I this is what coach wants. You know. Then I turn off the microphone. Chris, come on, man. This is kind of fucked up. And you go, no. So there's all these chances for you to say, yeah, man, it is fucked up.
Yeah.
Because I should be starting. But you don't do it. You don't do it. And in the NBA finals, we're down 2-1. Coach taps you on the shoulder, goes, I need you to start now. And you're ready to go. Because you didn't feed in to the negativity and all the noise. So when he did say, I need you to start, you go out and win finals MVP. That is hard to do, right? So for people, I'm not even saying I could do something. For people in success to not, it's why TV shows get canceled, because there's success, and all of a sudden you're making more than me.
Yeah.
Or you get to stand in front when we get the Emmy. Why can't I? That's the problem.
Yeah,
so it's hard.
First,
It's people, but I don't blame. It was all good. I think it was great. No bad, like one guy did this wrong or that. It's just life, just how it goes. It's hard to keep stuff together when you have success.
And you guys have done, I mean, I've been surprised how well you've actually managed everything up there. It's difficult. And these guys are good. You got some really good players. Steph Curry, arguably, I want your opinion on this. Do you think he's the greatest point guard ever?
What is a point guard? Like, I'm not trying to not, I'll answer the question. I don't know what a point guard is anymore.
Well, okay, how about we say,
so what,
do we call him a guard? Do we call him a lead
I don't know.
What do we call him?
The problem. I don't know. Like, okay, you probably should call him a point guard. I'll tell you what. He, besides maybe a Magic Johnson, which you grew up watching, so did I. You're a basketball player. I consider you a basketball player.
Thank you.
As far as messing you up on both sides of the ball, Chris, nobody probably ever would mess with your head more than he does. I don't know. I think that's a compliment. Like, I've played pickup with it. It's ridiculous.
What does he do? What does he do?
He changes the whole. First of all, if you're on defense, you're watching him. You're supposed to keep like one eye on the ball, one eye on your man, right? Know what's going on. It's so hard not to watch him because he can do things that don't make sense at a distance that don't make sense. And then people forget when he gets around the rim, his finishing percentages are unbelievable. Like his ability around the rim to finish for a guy that doesn't do it with power, athleticism.
Right.
He messes you up because he's the guy that if you're playing pickup against, he makes a shot and you go, yeah, you can't live on that. Yeah. Like he ain't making that again. And he does it again and again and again. And you go, yeah, that dude had a lucky day. And then you show up at the pickup again the next day and he busts you again. And finally, as an athlete and as a competitor, you go, I don't know what to do with this dude. There's not many guys in the history of our game where they leave the competition shaking their head being like, I have no answer for this. And he does that.
Yeah.
And Magic maybe in a different way, like Magic physically, guarding Magic physically, different.
Here's the thing. Okay, Steph, to me, the way he moves without the ball. So it's the movement without the ball is probably the greatest I've ever seen at it. The jukes to get open. And then from the catch to the up, it's just like, how is it so wet?
You know what it is? Like if you watch him, like in our practice facility out behind me, if you watch him shoot, the motion, it's not, Clay's got the picture perfect motion, like Clay does.
Yeah.
Steph's is different. Like it's
unorthodox. It's unorthodox. It's unorthodox.
Clay's as good as you can get with what you're talking about, which is getting it off fast.
Yeah.
Clay's like here, like here. So, but Steph's is all one motion and so soft and like it's to watch him do it. I don't know how you teach it or duplicate it. And the ways, if you looked at how many different, you're taught to shoot squared up, same way, the different ways he shoots and angles and speed of release.
I mean,
That's what doesn't make sense.
Bob, off the bounce. I mean, for him to be doing that 30 feet out, all the combos, and then just step back, up fake. He did it on Seth Curry. But just it's just like I can't believe it. It's years and years of this, and he continues to make this.
I know it's
so he's just
nice. And that's a good way to put it. If you were guarding him, here's the other thing you would do. There'd be a dead ball, and you'd be like, dude, would you just stop moving? Like, just stop. Like, because it's hard enough to guard a guy like that with the ball, but the second he passes the ball, he's gone. Like, he's off and going. And that's, as a defender, even if you're playing against somebody that can't do what he does, it's easier to guard a guy that's just sitting there. But when he's moving the way he does, you're kind of like, dude, stop. Like, you're bothering me. Like, stop moving so much.
And the thing about it too is everybody's gearing up for him. So the whole league has some type of gimmick, and you guys have adjusted, been creative offensively. Emphasis. I mean, it's been unbelievable.
I know.
Quick update on Klay Thompson's injury. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's a good dude. Today I walked in the facility and he's rehabbing his Achilles.
Okay.
And he says, I said, what are you doing? And he's got on his on this floor of his right in front of his locker, all his fan mail. And he goes, bro, I'm responding to fan mail, man. And he's like, I've never done this before. And he was kind of laughing, like this superstar life, playing every game, Iron Man. And now he obviously can't play this year. It's kind of like a moment, a full cycle of life. Like, you come up, you get all this fan mail.
Yeah.
You go, I don't got time for this. You don't read it, you don't look at it. And then as you get older and wiser and life obviously stopped for him athletically, you start reading it and you're like, all right, I got time for this now. Yeah. So he's good. He's a great dude. He's Klay, like I talked about, the NBA, Klay respects the game. Like, he respects the game. And I said when he got hurt again, Achilles, I said, I think people, and it's not fair to say the only two, but I think from being around the league, him and Derrick Rose, I said, are the two most respected players. Nobody's ever got a problem with Klay. Mm-hmm. How he plays, how he competes, how he lives, how he talks. Every player in the NBA would want to play with Klay Thompson. You can't say that about every player. I don't care. Like, even with Steph, sometimes people hate on Steph.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody hates on Klay. Yeah, which is a compliment. It's a compliment. But he's doing all right. He's rehabbing.
And James Wiseman, I know he just went down with the meniscus, but his progress this season, you guys took him at the number 2 overall pick, had some other options. Are you happy with his progress this season?
Yeah, no, I mean, you always have options, but James is, I mean, it's a long game, right? I mean, and it's tough for a center now, but James, and I don't grade players good or bad 5-6 months. We do it. You can do it. I just can't do it. And people do it. I got no problem with it. It's fine. Like, grade them at the end of year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Mm-hmm. And it changes. I think the best thing about him, and big guys, most big guys don't love basketball. Fact, they're 7 feet tall. They play because they're tall. And, not all of them, but many of them.
Yeah, some of them.
Some, decent. I mean, representing some of the guys I did, like, it's not the most important thing in their life. It's a job. And it's a good job. It pays a lot of money. But they don't bleed it. They don't, need it. It's like they grew up. Some coach was like, you gotta play basketball. You're 6'10". Okay, I guess I'll go play basketball. Yeah. You and I went, whether I was going to be 6 feet or 6'5" or 6'2" or 6'8", I was going to play basketball. Wherever it ended, it ended. I just loved it. Mm-hmm. But for him, he does love it, and I so far he's shown he loves to work. And I've never met a player that has that talent and puts in the work that doesn't succeed. But he's gonna now he's hurt, so he's got to put in the work. And that's mental work, that's physical. And I think he'll put it all together, but it's going to be a lot on him to put the time in. But I'm betting that he will. I think he will.
So you see that he has that, the obsessiveness about working.
Chris, if you were playing with him, you'd come over. Here's what you'd say. You'd say, dude, that guy's talented, but he's got to figure out the game a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And but you would know, like, one skill, I think you knew innately how to play and what to do, but you weren't 7 feet tall with a 35-inch vertical and like that kind of stuff.
7'8" wingspan.
We don't get it all. Like, we don't. So his part is he just got to learn and grow and play more. He's got to play more basketball, and he knows that. We know that, and so that's the hard part about the injury. Wanting him to be able to play, finish season, do summer league, because he didn't get summer league, he didn't get training camp. And so that's the toughest part, because he needs to play.
Yeah.
He needs to play basketball. So that'll be a key part of his growth.
Absolutely. Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, they've been playing well as of late. As you guys have been on this push to play for that play-in spot. What do you guys got to do to close it out over the next, to the end of the season to be in a position to compete playoffs?
We need Steph. I don't know that we need him to score 40, or maybe we do.
Is this he's got the tailbone? Is it lingering?
Yeah, but that's he's over. I mean, that's pretty much in the past. It's maybe slightly there, but overall he's good. What do we need to do? Play smart. We like a lot of teams. We used to have this huge margin for error, big margin. When you had Durant and all these guys, we could play bad and win. We can't. Excuse me. We can't play bad and win now. We play good. The best teams in the league, a bad night still gets them a W. Instead of winning by 15, they win by 5. Mm-hmm. We can't do that. So we got to play well. We got to show up. We got to be mentally prepared. We got to give it an effort. And guys got to make shots. The whole deal. But things don't go your way. Make mistakes. You're probably going to lose. We just don't have that cushion without Clay on the team. But we like our spot now. We got a lot of games at home, Chris. We've been better at home. We got 9 after tonight. We played tonight in Washington. We got 9 and 13 at home. So we'll see. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going.
Yeah. And you guys, I think you guys will, man. You guys are in a good spot.
As you sit there with your Lake Show shirt on and your LA Dodge, I mean, come on. You don't have to pretend.
This is can't be LA. I'm not pretending. I want to know about our competition, man.
All right, there you go. Yeah, it's good.
No,
that's
come
good,
on, Bob.
man.
I'm proud. Bob, tell me something, though. Tell me something. What is your absolute most favorite part about working in the NBA?
The people I met, and competition. Like, I know you like competition. You get to compete, but it's hard, man, because you lose a lot. I mean, we won a lot. I got pretty lucky with that, but you go home after a loss, bad loss. You make mistakes. I made mistakes. You do good things. You do bad things. Living with that stuff, like not waking up at 3 a.m. But when you do well and you make a good call, or you work with people you like, getting to know our coaches. I mean, Steve Kerr is going to be a friend for life, and the players I've met. I told Draymond that he was talking about the other day about a teammate, and I was like, "Why don't you call him?" Because they had to have a conversation about something. Mm-hmm. I said, "If you can't call him after all you've been through, then that's your fault. Then you got what do you have? Then you got rings sitting in your locker in your safe. Like, what is that? Like, if you and I mean, if I couldn't do this with you, what was the point? If I can't see Charles or Ed or this or that, like if I don't have a relationship with Lavin and Coach Herrick, what was the point of it all? So what? I can walk around and be like, we were champions. You talk to those guys ever? No. Don't even know any of them. I don't like those dudes. Like, this is what people don't. When we went 73-9 outside here, there's a banner. Yeah. We had the best record. I don't think that record's gonna get broken, by the way. Okay. But we lost in championship. Yeah. Many people. That's a failure. You didn't win the championship. And I listened to that because we're all vulnerable. I said, I don't think so. I said, that's pretty hard to put a team together that's going to win more regular season games in the history of the NBA. And I said, it's hard to do. And then I was telling our coach, I said to Steve, I said, I get to decide what that means, right? Like, you and I get to decide what that UCLA championship means. You get to decide what it means for you. Yeah. I get to decide what it means for me. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it, except for what you think about it and I think about it. But what I think about any success is the people. Like, in 10 years, if I see it at a restaurant, I'm sitting down with you. What's up? What are you up to? Remember this? Remember that? If we hated each other, or I didn't know you or get to know you, then what the hell is it? So it's the relationships, Chris. It's not, I don't have a picture on my house. I don't have a trophy wall. I got nothing. I got the fact that if I need to talk to you, I can pick up the phone. If I want to talk to Kevin or Steph or Clay or Draymond or Steve or anybody, David West, who play anybody, I can do that. That's the gift. Other than that, money. I'm just kidding.
Hey, you're not kidding. It must be nice, Bob.
No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Bob, I just got a couple more questions. I know you got things to do. Yeah. Just as far as how, and I know that I probably know the answer to this, but will the Warriors win another NBA championship in the next 5 years?
Oh boy, I hope so. You gotta get lucky. You gotta be healthy. I'll tell you what, we have guys that they know the way. Does that make sense? They know the way. That matters. There's a big, when you haven't ever done it, you always wonder if you can. And does that make sense? Like if you were a college coach, you could look at the team and be like, guys, I've done it. I've been a part of it. I know what it takes. That's powerful. To have, the most important thing is to have players that have done it. Because I can promise you, there's so many moments in the journey where it could fall off. But one year we were down twice in the Western Conference Finals, game 6 and 7 to Houston, good Houston teams, by 10 halftime.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you were just better. No. If our fabric was weaker, we lose one of those games. And people are like, how do you know? I go, I walk in the locker room at halftime, I look around. No panic, no blame, no letting go of the rope. So, Chris, yeah, I mean, I can picture a championship again because of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. I know who they are in those championship moments. They're not, even me praising them. You've seen it too, as a fan. You know who they are.
We know what time it is with the Warriors.
Okay, they know. So
Splash Brothers. Okay,
I'm betting on that. Now, look, people say you get older and say, I'm still betting on them. You got to stay healthy, but nobody would want to play. You got to beat those. It's like a boxer, right? You got to knock him out. He's not going to throw in the towel. You got to knock him out, and it's going to be a long, heavyweight fight. It's going to last 12 rounds. And you know what? We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against you guys. That's for dango sure. A full strength. Clay,
yeah, Steph,
Dre.
They've been there. Yeah, been there.
Man.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Wish you guys luck. Although, we over here with.
No, you don't. I see what you're wearing.
Stop
right
that.
in my face.
Bob, I got one more question, and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
The George Floyd trial, Derek Chauvin found guilty. The NBA and your organization have been, very outspoken about their support and advocacy against situations like this from happening. Talk a little bit about that, the community involvement of the Warriors organization, and just comments on the trial and where we are as a nation.
Yeah, well, we're better than we were, but we're not. I don't think we're good enough. We all, we all have to acknowledge how far we have to go. Was what I would say. And that starts with making decisions. Like, it starts with holding people accountable. It starts with being honest, and it starts with raising your hand and saying, I need to know more. I need to do more. I heard a great story where I was talking to a guy I know in our community who I've reached out to locally to understand race better, right? Like, I could talk to you and you could be like, I used to talk to Iguodala on our team, and he's like, have you ever walked into a store and felt like people were looking like you were going to steal something? And I was like, no. And he goes, do you know how many times that's happened to me? And you'd say, wow, you understand what a gift that is? Like, you get in the elevator, the woman grabs her purse. You know what that feels like? I'd be like, no. So there's that. But the other part is there's understanding how life works and how it is, and just having that knowledge and trying to be better at that. But then there's moments where this guy was telling me his wife was in a law school class, and the professor was teaching a course on property, and he showed a scene, I think from Amistad, where he referenced people as property. And it was so irresponsible and so wrong on every level. And she wished, in hindsight, she's a Black woman, that she had the strength to raise her hand and say, this is bullshit. Like, you can't do this. Like, this is wrong. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you showing this scene? Like, this isn't right. This isn't good. Like, don't use this as an example of like, this is bad. And she said, but the next step is, why didn't any of my classmates, white, Black, brown, why didn't they raise their hand and say it's wrong? And that really hit me with, like, being not guilty of doing something doesn't mean you're not guilty. Does that make sense?
You're culpable. Yeah.
Like, you understand, like, being an observer is not enough. You have to be a participant, right? And so I've learned from an organizational standpoint, from an individual standpoint, just because I don't think I'm racist, that's not enough. Understand? Like, that's not enough for me.
Yeah.
That's not enough for society. Well, I didn't do anything wrong. I like Black people. That's pathetic. If you think about it, like, that's not it. So learning individually that it takes a step forward, right? Like, standing still, Chris, even if I'm not doing anything wrong, is wrong. So I think what we've all learned, I hope, is at least that, like, this ain't gonna change you as a Black guy and as a Black community. It's not fair for me to go, you got to figure this out. It's fair for you to be like, can we get some fucking help? Can you help me? Like, we're not the majority here. Like, can you help me here?
Yeah.
So I think once we all have woken up to that, then it becomes about, what are you going to do? So for us, it's programs in our community. It's educating ourselves. It's giving opportunities. It's putting Black people in leadership positions. It's all the things we all have to do a better job of. And we could go on and on and on, but in the trial specifically, like, yeah, that's the, like, you should pay for that. I mean, obviously, you know, that's justice served. I mean, that's it's so sad that you shouldn't take a death. Right?
It took someone losing their life.
Why a death? Like, a death is not correct. It's not, death is certain. It's done. Like, you can't,
That's it.
The law, it doesn't change. This punishment doesn't bring someone back to life. That's the hard part. But yeah, we all gotta, I appreciate you asking about it, but we all have a long way to go.
Yeah, we do. And I think we'll get there. But like you say, it's going to take everyone and not just, you know, standing around. We need active participants to get the job done. But Bob, thank you so much for your time today, my man. God, this has
come
been
to
an
a game.
awesome
Come to a game up here.
I would like to, but whenever
don't wear that.
But whenever
don't
I come up there, you never invite me anywhere.
Don't
and
wear
you
that
never
shirt.
return my calls.
I can't put you in the gym with something like that.
I'm not gonna wear this if I come up to the what are you guys at, the Chase Center? The Chase Center.
We're the Chase Center. You can wear a Dodgers hat if you want.
Okay, but that might get me beat up though. So I gotta be careful.
They're pretty nice. It's not that, you know. It's
oh, they're not LA fans.
Like Lakers. No, LA fans don't beat you up either. We're not. No, they don't.
They used to.
LA's fan. You know, it's a nice society. It's a good deal up there. Those tickets are expensive too.
Yeah, we've evolved. So, all right.
Yeah, you've evolved. So it's good talking to you, Chris.
Good talking to you too, Bob. Good talking to you too. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, brother. See you. Bye.